Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India, India's voice to the world. I am Ramesh Ramachandran. Coming up in the next hour. India names the point where Chandrayaan 3 landed on the moon as Shiv Shakti. Prime Minister Narendra Modi declares 23rd August as National Space Day.
चंद्रयान 3 में देश ने हमारी महिला वैज्ञानिकों ने, देश की नारी शक्ति ने कितनी बड़ी भूमिका निभाई है.
Prime Minister Modi greets women scientists of Indian Space Agency ISRO in Bengaluru, lauds their key role in the success of India's moon mission. US Space Agency NASA and SpaceX's Dragon spacecraft blasts off, carrying 4 astronauts to the International Space Station. Niger expels the ambassador of France. Protesters threaten to storm the French embassy in Niamey if its troops don't leave the country. And President Vladimir Putin of Russia orders the Wagner fighters to sign an oath of allegiance to the Russian state after Yevgeny Prigozhin's death. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi visited the Indian Space Agency ISRO's facilities in Bengaluru to personally congratulate the team behind Chandrayaan 3's successful landing on the south pole of the moon. He called it a new dawn for India. Prime Minister Modi reached Bengaluru from Athens in Greece, which was a second leg of his foreign tour that also took him to South Africa.
On arrival to the Indian Space Research Organisation Centre in Bengaluru, Prime Minister Narendra Modi met its chief S. Somnath and other Indian scientists to personally congratulate them on the historic success of the Chandrayaan 3 mission. A big announcement then stemmed from the huge achievement, with PM Modi declaring the day of the landing as National Space Day.
23 अगस्त को जब भारत ने चंद्रमा पर तिरंगा फहराया, उस दिन को अब हिंदुस्तान नेशनल स्पेस डे के रूप में मनाया जाएगा.
In recognition of the female scientists behind the landing, Prime Minister Modi also revealed the spot where Chandrayaan 3 landed will be called as Shiv Shakti.
जिस स्थान पर चंद्रयान 3 का मून लैंडर उतरा है, अब उस पॉइंट को शिव शक्ति के नाम से जाना जाएगा.
The word describes the two powerful energy principles of masculinity and femininity within the cosmic spiral, inspiring the generations to use science for the welfare of people.
शिव में मानवता के कल्याण का संकल्प समाहित है और शक्ति से हमें उन संकल्पों को पूरा करने का सामर्थ्य मिलता है.
The Prime Minister also announced that the point on the moon where its predecessor Chandrayaan 2 left its footprint back in 2019 to be known as the Tiranga point.
चंद्रमा के जिस स्थान पर चंद्रयान 2 ने अपने पदचिन्ह छोड़े हैं, वो पॉइंट अब तिरंगा कहलाएगा.
Scientists involved with the mission gifted Prime Minister a small replica of the Vikram lander and the first photos sent by the lander on the moon's surface. The historic landing makes India the fourth nation to carry out a soft landing on the lunar surface and the first nation to reach the moon's unexplored South Pole. It is a move, PM Modi says, has allowed the Make in India initiative to go not only global but also universal. Proving, in this case, the sky is in fact not the limit. DD India's report.
Prime Minister Modi held a roadshow on his way to ISRO's Telemetry, Tracking and Command Control Complex in Bengaluru. He met with the scientists involved in the Chandrayaan-3 mission. Prime Minister Modi spoke about the importance of India's moon mission and recognized the contribution of scientific research. The Indian Space Agency ISRO says that the moon rover's movements are going according to plan. The rover successfully traveled a distance of 8 meters. The rover payloads, a laser-induced breakdown spectroscope and alpha particle X-ray spectrometer are turned on. All payloads on the propulsion module, lander module and rover are performing well. ISRO released a video showing the Chandrayaan-3 rover exploring the moon's surface. Indian Space Agency ISRO's chairperson Dr. S. Somanath spoke exclusively to DD India's Aisha Khanam in Bengaluru. Dr. Somanath welcomed the name chosen by Prime Minister Modi for Chandrayaan-3's landing site. He said that the Indian Prime Minister's encouragement gives greater strength to the space agency's team.
So how significant do you think, this naming of these two important landing sites, what does it mean to India?
See, इस दोनों का नाम में an Indianness है, भारतीयत्व है, so ये तो important है, so it doesn't look like an Anglican word, so it's very important. So both has its own naming and it has very flavor of the Indian naming, so that's very important.
How do you look at the speech, inspiring the scientists, because he always talks never give up and he appreciates the determination of the scientists.
See, all of us realize when you face a failure, there is always the morale goes down, there is a depression, the public sees us critically, government sees us critically, but when you have working very hard even in spite of all of this, I think that requires a lot of tenacity, the courage internal to the organization. And I need to, like people like me, my previous chairman, they had to keep the morale of the organization very high so that we don't lose and still continue the work. And as a government organization, it's very difficult. It's very important to keep the morale high for an organization like this. And I think he realizes it and he understood it. Because in a scientific organization, keeping morale high to deliver high quality good, it comes out of the passion. It doesn't come out of payment or salary. It doesn't come out of the remuneration. It comes out of simply the hard work and passion that we are creating internally for doing wonderful things. I think he saluted that.
Yes, absolutely. And he also gave you a responsibility to organize a hackathon at the national level.
Yes, we should do that because he has been a person who wanted to look at space to be useful for different ministries, department, governments, which we had a meeting in 2015 where we organized all of this. Then later, we worked on it for last many years and completed almost 100 plus projects on delivering some services to different ministries and departments. And now he tells that youngsters and young people, students, has to get into and create innovative idea in space sector and expand it. So the hackathon will definitely help towards that.
Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi said that India is proud of its eternal and diverse culture. He addressed a G20 culture ministers meeting via video link on Saturday. The city of Varanasi in the northern Indian state of Uttar Pradesh hosted this meeting. Prime Minister Modi said the Indian government has taken a number of steps to preserve the country's intangible cultural heritage. One such step includes development of a national museum in New Delhi. It will be the largest museum of its kind in the world.
We are also building the Yuge Yugin Bharat National Museum. Once completed, it will stand as the world's largest museum. It will showcase India's history and culture spanning over 5,000 years.
Prime Minister Modi said that the efforts of G20 nations in promoting cultural and creative industries will foster inclusive economic development and support creativity and innovation.
We believe that heritage is a vital asset for economic growth and diversification. This is accord in our mantra, Vikas bhi, Virasat bhi, development as well as heritage.
The G20 Culture Ministers meeting concluded on Saturday. A report titled G20 Culture, Shaping the Global Narrative for Inclusive Growth was released and launched on the occasion. The culture ministers also adopted the Kashi Culture Pathway Outcome Document. Varanasi is also known as Kashi. A special stamp was released to commemorate the Culture Unites All campaign. India's Culture Minister G. Kishan Reddy highlighted the journey of India's G20 presidency.
We have tried to capture the spirit of our collective vision. Through our combined wisdom and shared, we can transform the challenges that lie before us into opportunities for cultural progress globally. Today, we are equally proud to launch the report consolidating the best practices as the insights from global thematic webinars titled G20 Culture, Shaping the Global Narrative for Inclusive Growth.
Business leaders from G20 member countries have come together at the B20 Summit in New Delhi. The summit, which began on Friday, will be on till 27th August. Responsible, accelerated, innovative, sustainable, equitable businesses is its theme. The theme is rooted in the belief that the G20 business community should raise the bar for equitable growth by committing to business practices that are responsible and sustainable. A Canadian delegate to the B20 summit says India has the skilled labor and technology that the province of Saskatchewan needs. Now, Saskatchewan is a Canadian province that borders the US to the south. The Canadian province has signed a pact with the northern Indian state of Haryana to support migration of skilled workers. DD India's Jessica Taneja reports.
We're here at the B20 Summit in New Delhi, and to talk to us we have Scott Matthews. He represents the province of Saskatchewan in Canada. Thank you for speaking to us. Tell us about the trade that your province does with India.
Yeah, so Saskatchewan is a province in Canada, about 1 million people, so very small compared to Indian standards, but Saskatchewan provides the food, the fuel, and fertilizer that the world needs, and India has the skilled workforce, the technology, and the innovation that Saskatchewan needs to drive our economy.
Tell us about a few initiatives that have been undertaken in the last few years, or maybe from the time that you can tell us.
Yeah, so Saskatchewan's been engaged in India for many years, primarily in lentils and pulse crops. Much of the lentils that India eats actually comes from Saskatchewan. Much of the fertilizer that fertilizes the fields in India that our farmers here use comes from Saskatchewan in the form of potash. And then also Saskatchewan has the world's largest high-grade supply of uranium. And so Saskatchewan's been engaged in India for many, many years. And now we're looking to increase the sectors that we're involved in. So most recently we signed an MOU with the state of Haryana, which supports skilled workforce migration between the state of Haryana and Saskatchewan. So we're working towards that at the moment.
You see a lot of business opportunities in India, a lot of foreign direct investments also coming in. Has the trade been moving in an upward direction?
Trade's been moving in an upward direction. Trade 22 over 21 increased by 100%. So Saskatchewan trade to India in 2022 was 1.4 billion, and trade from Saskatchewan to India in 2021 was just under 700 million.
What does the future look like then?
The future is bright. I mean, India is the hope of much of the world when it comes to trade, right? This is where things are happening, and so we're here because we think the future is optimistic and bright in India.
Right, and before we Punjabi as well, multilingual. Thank you.
Still to come on DD India News Hour. Niger junta expels the French ambassador. Russia downs drones close to Moscow and near its border with Ukraine. And new EU digital regulations kick in as a 27-member bloc cracks down on big tech.
Wherever news breaks, whatever it takes.
Connecting corners, cutting across continents.
Stories that matter from across the globe.
Accurate, authentic journalism that serves you right. From politics to glamour, from sports to world affairs, with a fusion of aesthetics and substance. Introducing news in a new avatar. Experience the world through a new lens. Stay tuned to DD India for an exciting journey beyond borders.
Your name, Ina Krishnamurthy,
Yes.
it sounds so much like an Indian name.
My grandfather fascinated with Mahabharata, Ramayana stories, so he gave my father's name Krishnamurthy.
The handing over of the gavel by Indonesian President in Bali to Prime Minister Narendra Modi.
Of course, it's a fascinating, memorable history.
What does Indonesia think is the biggest challenge in the Indo-Pacific?
We don't want this region to be part of any conflict, not unilateral actions.
How does Indonesia see the Quad partnership?
We see it as a plus.
You're watching DD India News Hour. I am Ramesh Ramachandran. Niger's junta asked the French ambassador to leave the country, raising the stakes in a standoff with other West African nations who are threatening force to reinstate Niger's democratically elected president. Now, Niger has strategic significance as one of the world's biggest producers of uranium and as a base for French, US and other foreign troops that are helping to fight Islamist militant groups in the region. Mihir Makuri reports.
Niger's junta, which seized power in a coup on 26th of July, has asked the French ambassador to leave the country within 48 hours. It marks a new low in the relations between the West African country and its former colonial ruler. Hundreds of protesters gathered in front of the French military base in Niger's capital Niamey, threatening to storm the facility if troops don't depart the West African nation within a week. Like recent coups in neighboring Burkina Faso and Mali, the military takeover in Niger came amid a growing wave of anti-French sentiment, with some locals accusing the European country of interfering in their affairs. In a statement, the junta-appointed foreign ministry said the decision to expel the ambassador was a response to actions taken by the French government that were contrary to the interests of Niger. It said that these included the envoy's refusal to respond to an invitation to meet Niger's new foreign minister. The French foreign ministry did not immediately reply to a request for comment on the matter. A source in the junta and a Nigerian security source told Reuters that only the French ambassador had been asked to leave. It had been speculated that Niger ordered the ambassadors of the United States and Germany to leave the country. The coup has pushed Niger's long-standing relationship with France to a breaking point. The latest move raises further doubts about the future of joint military efforts to fight an Islamist insurgency in the conflict-torn Sahel region. The deterioration in Niger-France relations echoes similar coups in Mali and Burkina Faso, which have booted out French forces and cut long-standing ties. Mihir Makuri reporting for DD India.
Isaac Lucando joins us from Dar es Salaam in Tanzania. Isaac, protesters, we are given to understand, had gathered in front of the French military, the French embassy in Niamey, threatening to storm the facility if French troops do not depart the West African nation within a week. Now, what can you tell us about the situation obtaining now in Niamey as we speak?
Well, this is not strange to see protesters in front of whether it's the French embassy or the army base where there are French soldiers. It's, of course, as reported, growing anti-French sentiment that has been echoed not only in Niger but also in Mali, in Burkina Faso, in the region as a whole, and obviously presents a conundrum not only for the French, who have been trying to support anti-jihadist movement in Niger, but also ECOWAS, the regional bloc there, that has been trying to ensure that there is civilian rule, and that hasn't panned out. In the last 3 years alone, there have been about 6 coups there. So it's a troublesome situation. Earlier on, there were reports that even the US and German ambassadors were in threat of being booted out, but that hasn't been established. It's only the French ambassador at the moment that has been given 48 hours to exit the country. And so definitely a new low in Niger-French relations.
Indeed. Isaac, Niger is understood to have asked troops from Mali and Burkina Faso to come to its defense after reports that the Economic Community of West African States, also known as ECOWAS, is mulling a military intervention. Is conflict inevitable, or does peace still have a chance?
At this point, analysts are saying that there is still a chance for peace, but it will be a very tricky path to walk on to get to it, because there's a lot at stake. On the one hand, the ECOWAS wants to ensure that there is a return to civilian rule, but it's not easy because the military junta in Niger is determined to solidify its power, and some of these moves that it's making, including expelling the French from Niger, is part of its strategy to ensure that it continues to stay in power. It's playing on anti-French sentiment in the country and shoring up more support for its regime. It's already proposed a 3-year plan to return to civilian rule, something ECOWAS has refused, and even negotiations that had been going on between itself and ECOWAS haven't panned out too well, because last week a team was sent there, that things didn't work out too well. This week again, another one is set to be sent in. This is after the head of ECOWAS said that the team that negotiated with the military junta there should go back in and try to see what they can achieve this time around, if they can maybe appeal to the military junta there to revert back to civilian rule. But it's not panning out, and maybe a military confrontation is in the works, but that won't be a pretty sight, because you're talking of Mali, Burkina Faso and Niger on one hand, and ECOWAS states, at least 11 of them on the other hand, which is set to really turn the region up on its head.
Isaac, thank you. That was Isaac Lukando reporting from Dar es Salaam in Tanzania. Let me now bring you up to date on the Russia-Ukraine conflict. Russia has again reported a new drone attack on Moscow in the early hours of Saturday. The mayor of Moscow said that a drone was brought down by Russian air defense systems over the Istra district. Although the attacks did not cause much damage, they forced the temporary closure of 3 major airports serving Moscow. And Dasha Chernysheva joins us from Moscow. Dasha, Moscow, Sheremetyevo, Domodedovo and Vnukovo airports had suspended flights after they were targeted by drones overnight. Have the airports resumed their operations since? And are drones being aimed at Moscow with an alarming regularity now?
Well, indeed, the Moscow airports were forced to halt air traffic for a couple of hours while the situation with the drone was still underway. We understand it was intercepted by the Russian air defenses and the traffic at the airport has resumed. But certainly the regularity of those attempted attacks by the Ukrainian drones against the Russian capital is quite alarming. Many Russians now do get used to waking up to new reports of more drones attacking the Russian capital as well as other regions of Russia. So certainly the regularity of that is very, very stable. The frequency is increasing, and Muscovites as well as the residents of other Russian cities are getting used to the new reality.
Now, Russia also claims to have shot down a drone in a village in the Belgorod region bordering Ukraine. Were there any casualties?
Well, as of this drone, we understand it has been intercepted by the Russian air defense systems. There have been no casualties or damage reported. However, there was also an attempt by Ukraine to shell the region and the villages there. Cluster munitions, according to the Russian authorities, have been used by Ukraine. That has resulted in 6 people getting some wounds by the shrapnel. We understand one person is in a difficult condition at the moment. They have been hospitalized. So certainly that is again a new dimension of this conflict, with cluster munitions now being also very frequently used by Ukraine, at least as the Russian authorities say.
And finally, Dasha, President Vladimir Putin has ordered the Wagner mercenaries to sign an oath of allegiance to the Russian state after its chief Yevgeny Prigozhin's death. What does the decree actually say?
Well, indeed, the Russian president has signed an order which obliges all the volunteer formations, the units of the territorial defense, as well as anyone who is involved into executing the tasks of the Russian armed forces to pledge oath and swear oath to the Russian flag. We understand this order has been enforced in order to spark the norms of morale of defending the Russian Federation. We also have heard the Russian authorities saying that indeed this was a necessary move. It's not just about the Wagner fighters. The people who are fighting in the so-called special military operation will pledge allegiance. They will say that they will follow the orders of the commanders and pledge to defend the constitutional order of the Russian Federation. And this move is taking place precisely 2 months after the attempted mutiny by the Wagner boss Yevgeny Prigozhin when he marched towards the Russian capital with the so-called March of Justice. And as of the 1st of July, the people who are involved in fighting in the so-called special military operation are also obliged to sign contracts with Russian Ministry of Defense.
All right, we leave it at that. Dasha Chernyshova in Moscow, thank you for now. And now take a look at some other stories making news around India. At least 9 people were killed after a fire broke out in a private coach stationed near the Madurai railway station in India's southern state of Tamil Nadu. The blaze started after a gas stove lit by members of a private party inside the coach exploded. The private party comprised 65 passengers from Lucknow. An ex gratia of $12,000 has been announced to the families of the deceased. A detailed investigation has been launched into the incident. The Chief Minister of India's central state of Madhya Pradesh has expanded his cabinet. Chief Minister Shivraj Singh Chauhan has inducted 3 BJP legislators into his Council of Ministers just months ahead of the legislative election in the state. Indore bagged the National Smart City Award, while Madhya Pradesh was given the Best State Award under the Smart Cities mission. The Indian Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs announced the India Smart Cities Awards for 2022 on Friday. Indore has topped the cleanliness rankings under the Swachh Bharat Abhiyan, which is Hindi for Clean India mission, for the past 6 years in a row. President Draupadi Murmu of India will present the awards in Indore on 27th September. Still to come on DD India News Hour. A deep dive into India's space odyssey. And US space agency NASA and Elon Musk's SpaceX launch astronauts into space. Watching DD India News Hour, I am Ramesh Ramachandran. A quick recap of the headlines. India names the point where Chandrayaan 3 landed on the moon as Shiv Shakti. And US space agency NASA and SpaceX's Dragon spacecraft blasts off, carrying 4 astronauts to the International Space Station. Going back to the top story, Prime Minister Narendra Modi of India says 23rd August would now be celebrated as a National Space Day to mark India's singular achievement of landing a craft on the south pole of the moon. And 4 days on, congratulations are still pouring in from all over the world for the historic moon landing. Joining me to talk about India's space odyssey are Dr. Vinod Kumar and Dr. Ajay Lele. Dr. Kumar is Director, Promotion Directorate in Space in the Indian Department of Space, and Group Captain Dr. Ajay Lele, retired, is a former Senior Fellow at the Manohar Parrikar Institute for Defence Studies and Analyses in New Delhi, who headed the Centre on Strategic Technologies. Dr. Lele, Dr. Kumar, welcome. Dr. Lele, National Space Day on 23rd August, a fitting tribute, you say, to India's moon mission?
Definitely. I think this is a very important announcement, and this announcement is not a symbolic announcement. This announcement will definitely allow the country to know more about space every year on 23rd of August. There will be some sort of one can say, celebrations in the schools, colleges. There will be seminars which will be conducted on this issue. There could be some exhibitions also. I think ISRO also can think slightly innovatively, allow some of their laboratories to remain open for public viewing. I think in the country we require to have more amount of a scientific, you can say, brain, or more amount of a scientific understanding of what are the things which are happening in the domain of a space. And when you announce a particular day, which will help you to actually demonstrate, at the same time popularize the science of the space, I think from that point of view, this is a very important announcement.
Absolutely. Dr. Kumar, what actually went into making the Chandrayaan 3 successful? And just by way of comparison here, the Indian moon mission, I am told, cost $75 million, but the Hollywood film Interstellar cost $175 million to make. What does that tell you about India's scientific prowess, Dr. Kumar?
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Ramesh, for inviting me for this nice discussion. Really, first thing I will tell before going to the details that whatever the announcement today Honorable Prime Minister has made, they are really path-breaking and very interesting announcement to develop the space culture in the country. This will lead to the development of scientific temperament. I have been meeting the children and students, they are very much excited about this. Really, what went into making of this mission? Yeah, it's a really challenging mission. Challenges arise because of the development of guidance law. Guidance law for the last part, basically that is the power descent phase. So in power descent phase, which you see at the start of the braking, we call it first, it is divided into 4 parts. The first part is the rough braking phase, wherein the lander velocity is 1.68 kilometer per second. It amounts to around more than 6,000 kilometer per hour. Means within 7 hours or 8 hours, it will make one round of Earth. So that velocity has to be break down to around 358 meter per second. So you see there what a drop from there requires, that too in within 11 to 12 minutes.
Right.
After the second phase is attitude hold, where it compares, checks his attitude and goes to the next phase, fine braking, which is this velocity has to be made 0.
Okay.
So this is a complete challenge with from such a high velocity, within a matter of 13-14 minutes, you have to make the 0 or velocity both vertical and horizontal. After it goes there, then in the terminal descent phase. This phase is very important, wherein the Team ISRO, the scientists from Control System Group, scientists from URL Satellite Center, where I was also there earlier, they have developed all these things. And when you go to the last phase, that is the terminal descent phase, where it identifies its landing site.
Right.
So whether this is the safe place to land. So we were just waiting. Just time is running. It is a few minutes, 1 minute hardly is left. It will decide within 10 seconds. Then it decided. It told no, this is not the place. It went. It decided this is the safe place and landed there.
Indeed.
So you see, there is the excitement. There is a, you can imagine, see, all I have been told with the elders, younger children, all are keeping their heart.
Indeed, absolutely, very true. Dr. Lele, India has signed the Artemis Accords, a US-led international partnership on planetary exploration and research. What is the Artemis Accords all about?
You see, Artemis Accord is a very big project which has been undertaken by the US. The initial phase of this project is to undertake the human landing on the surface of the moon. Already Artemis 1 program has happened where a flyby mission was taken close to the lunar surface. Subsequently, there will be an unmanned mission taking place, and subsequently they want to send a human and an individual with a color to the moon, basically to understand and to demonstrate to the world that everybody has got stakes on the moon. Subsequently, they want to establish some sort of lunar station either on the moon or in the vicinity over there, and then they want to go further to Mars and other planets also. So this is a project in progress. By 2025 or by 2026, it is expected that the first US woman will be landing on the surface of the moon.
Right. Dr. Kumar, we are told that ISRO's next mission is a solar mission. It's codenamed Aditya L1. What is it about and when will it be launched?
Yeah, so launch date, frankly speaking, is being announced in the next month. It is planned. The exact details will come. But it's a very interesting mission. I was also involved in that. It's a very nice mission. It is to study corona effect of the sun. The coronal mass ejection from the sun needs to be studied. So this is put at a Lagrangian point L1. So there are the 5 Lagrangian points where these points are called as stable point. Or there are out of 5, 3 are unstable and 2 are stable points. So this will be the position of L1 is 15 lakh kilometer from Earth. So the line from Earth to Sun On that, these 3 points are there. So we are going to the L1 point at 50 lakh kilometer. From there, there is no eclipse. You can continuously watch the activities happening at the sun. Basically, it relates to the corona mass ejection where and other solar activities which affects our Earth solar weather, space weather, and our satellites are also affected when this comes. So continuously in a peaceful environment you can do. At L1 point, the gravitational attraction nullifies from the sun and coming from the earth, it is nil almost. So that is the place where we place it to continuously be with 7 payloads are there. It's a very interesting mission upcoming by the ISRO government of India.
And finally, Dr. Lele, looking ahead, can one expect similar missions to the Mars, Venus and beyond? Will the experience gained from probing the moon's south pole help in future interplanetary conquests?
Definitely. If you see, India has undertaken a Mars mission during the year 2013-2014. And that mission has actually given a lot amount of inputs as far as Martian orbit is concerned. Initially, the mission was expected to last for 6 months. But the type of a copybook mission which was undertaken, actually the sensors were giving inputs almost for 5 years. So tremendous amount of data has been received. India will be planning the second mission to Mars. The date is not yet announced, but the experience of putting a rover and a lander on lunar surface definitely could be used, upgraded for putting a rover and a lander on the Martian surface also. Venus mission also there is a talk. I think initial talks are there, initial management of the mission, initial understanding of how to reach to the Venus and all that. So I can say that project is in the initial stage as far as ISRO is concerned. We have already done one Mars mission. I'm sure ISRO will be planning to do another Mars mission, and this time based on the experience of Chandrayaan with a rover and a lander.
All right, on that note, may I thank both my guests, Dr. Vinod Kumar and Dr. Ajay Lele, for joining us on NewsNight and sharing your thoughts with our viewers at home and abroad. Moving on, US space agency NASA and Elon Musk's SpaceX launched astronauts into space. The crew reached a low Earth orbit after a successful launch to the International Space Station. NASA said that after reconfirming the safety, SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket launched the Dragon spacecraft into orbit, carrying 1 NASA astronaut along with a European Space Agency astronaut, a Japan Aerospace Exploration Agency astronaut, and a Russian cosmonaut for a science expedition aboard the orbital laboratory. And now take a look at some more stories making news around the world. Venezuela's lawmakers named Elvis Amoroso as the head of the National Electoral Council. Amoroso's selection comes as the US said that it is prepared to ease sanctions against Venezuela, but only if President Nicolas Maduro takes concrete steps towards holding a free election. US Vice President Kamala Harris welcomed the 2022 Women's National Basketball Association champions Las Vegas Aces to the White House to celebrate their victory. The Las Vegas Aces presented her with a number 49 jersey. Vice President Harris praised the team for being the first major professional sports team in the western US state Nevada's history to win a championship. An oil price hike looms large in the US after a fire broke out at the Garyville refinery in South Louisiana on Friday. The Marathon Petroleum Corporation said that it's going to shut down the remaining units of the refinery out of an abundance of caution. Still to come on DD India News Hour. China accuses Japan of failing to address concerns over Fukushima water release. And HS Prannoy of India takes on the third-seeded player from Thailand for a place in the BWF World Championships final in Kuala Lumpur.
to Jaipur.
You're watching DD India News Hour. I am Ramesh Ramachandran. Dozens of the world's largest tech companies are facing a raft of changes as part of an EU crackdown online. The companies will now be subjected to a pioneering new set of digital regulations under the Digital Services Act. They would protect people's privacy by introducing more transparency and remove harmful or illegal content. People will now be able to alter some of what shows up when they search, scroll and share on some of the biggest social media platforms. Around 30,000 protesters gathered in the capital of South Korea on Saturday to demand that the government take steps to avoid what they fear is a potential disaster from Japan's release of treated radioactive water from the Fukushima nuclear plant. And tensions are flaring between China and Japan over the release of nuclear wastewater from the site of the wrecked Fukushima nuclear power plant. Beijing has implemented a ban on all Japanese seafood over the decision by Tokyo to begin the discharge. Japan has criticized China for not understanding the science behind the plan. Chris Gilbert reports from Tokyo.
Well, Japan is asking China for understanding. Effectively, the whole government, the Chief Cabinet Secretary, the Ministry of Energy, Trade and Industry, and the Prime Minister have all said that it is regrettable that China, as they see it, does not understand the science behind the discharge, and they are very open to communicating and, as they say, gain understanding about the science and the concluded safety of the water discharge. China has not expressed that it is open to that explanation or understanding. It has always been opposed to the water release. It had said that it would take countermeasures if the water release went ahead, and that is what we have seen so far in this blanket import ban on all Japanese seafood. It had a long-standing import ban on several parts of Japan, but now it is a whole country, including Hokkaido, which usually exports luxury sea cucumbers and scallops to China, all the way down to Okinawa in the very southwest. Parts of the country which have nothing to do with the discharge of Fukushima. And so the Fisheries Co-op is very concerned and has asked the government to request that China lift the ban. The government has complained to Beijing at a G20 meeting in Jaipur already. It is yet to be seen if this is going to become a long-term diplomatic issue. They already have territorial disputes over the Senkaku Islands, and experts believe that the wastewater issue could become a proxy for China to vent its political frustrations with Tokyo well into the future. Chris Gilbert in Tokyo, reporting for DD India.
China has urged Japan to stop releasing the nuclear contaminated water into the ocean.
So
far, Japan failed to address the major concerns of the international community about the long-term reliability of nuclear contaminated water, purification devices, the authenticity and accuracy of nuclear contaminated water data, and the sophistication and validity of the discharge monitoring program. China and other stakeholders have repeatedly pointed out that if the nuclear contaminated water is safe, then there is no need to discharge it into the sea. If it is not safe, it should not be discharged.
And now to all the news from the world of sport. Soccer's ruling world body FIFA has suspended Spanish Federation chief Luis Rubiales from all football-related activities for 3 months. FIFA is investigating an incident in which Rubiales kissed player Jenny Hermoso on the lips after Spain's Women's World Cup victory. FIFA had opened disciplinary proceedings against Rubiales on Thursday over his actions last Sunday in Sydney. Rubiales has been defined over the kiss, arguing it was consensual. Earlier on Saturday, the federation heads had said that it would stick by him. India's rising chess talents have taken the international chess scene by storm with their strategic brilliance and unwavering determination. Pragyananda, Arjun Eragasi, Nihal Sareen and Gukesh are all setting a new standard for Indian chess players on the world stage. Narayan Singh reports.
In a remarkable display of skill and determination, India's young chess prodigies have left an indelible mark on the global chess stage, showcasing their extraordinary talent and reaffirming the country's prowess in the game. R. Pragyananda, Arjun Eragasi, Nihal Sareen and Gukesh have collectively taken the international chess world by storm, solidifying their positions as rising stars. President of the All India Chess Federation, Sanjay Kapoor, firmly believes that the current lot happens to be a golden generation in Indian chess.
First, we had only one Vishwanathan Anand, that was the face of Indian chess. Now we have many new champions coming up, like Gukesh, Pragyananda, Nihal, Arjun, and many more in women. You know, national champion of chess is just 16 years old in women's. And I should tell you, now with the players' confidence, there is no looking back. We have 83 grandmasters today. In 2 years' time, we'll be having 100 plus grandmasters. All thanks to our Honorable Prime Minister, Shri Narendra Modi ji. He gave the nod for the torch relay that went to 75 cities across India. And it created a buzz for chess in India.
The future of Indian chess has never looked brighter thanks to the remarkable contributions of these young talents. Pragyananda's rise to prominence. Ramesh Babu Pragyananda, affectionately known as Prag, has established himself as a force to be reckoned with in the world of chess. His strategic prowess and remarkable ability to navigate complex positions have earned him accolades and respect from seasoned players and enthusiasts alike. At just 18 years, Prag's meteoric rise through the ranks has drawn comparisons to chess legends of yesteryears. Arjun Eragasi's unyielding determination. Arjun's journey to success has been marked by his unwavering determination and focus. Armed with a fierce competitive spirit, Arjun has consistently demonstrated his ability to outwit opponents, making him a contender to watch out for in various international chess tournaments. His strategic brilliance and adaptability have propelled him to the forefront of India's chess elite. Nihal Sareen, a mastermind in the making. Nihal Sareen's ability to outmaneuver opponents in intricate chess battles has earned him recognition as one of India's brightest young talents. Nihal's proficiency in endgame strategies and his knack for identifying weaknesses in his opponent's position have led him to victories against opponents older and experienced. His contributions to Indian chess landscapes are invaluable as he continues to inspire young chess enthusiasts nationwide. Gukesh's unstoppable ascension. Gukesh's journey from prodigy to phenomenon has captured the attention of the chess community worldwide. His early mastery of chess tactics and his fearless approach to high-stakes games have earned him numerous accolades and titles. Gukesh's unwavering focus and consistent performance have catapulted him into a different league of chess excellence, solidifying his status as a beacon of hope for aspiring chess players. Collectively, Prag, Arjun, Nihal and Gukesh have become a symbol of India's unwavering dedication to chess excellence. Their success on the global stage not only demonstrates their exceptional skills but also reflects the nurturing environment and training opportunities available in the country. Sports Desk, DD India.
And that's all for this edition of DD India News Hour. But let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. You can connect with us on Facebook, X, formerly Twitter, and Instagram. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Ramesh Ramachandran from all of us here in New Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India News Hour.